Bon après-midi à tous. Bonjour. Welcome everyone. Donc, I will.
Good afternoon to everybody.
All public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Hearing devices are available. You have the right to address City Council in the official language of your at moncton.ca. If you have registered with the City Clerk's office prior to the agenda deadline, 7 days before the meeting, you will be given 5 minutes for your presentation. Other public presentations will be given 2 minutes. You will receive a reminder when 1 minute is remaining. Please note, no presenter shall speak disrespectfully of council, staff, or a member of the general public. The use of offensive or profane language will not be tolerated. Any breach of this guideline may result in the presenter being asked to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Un service d'interprétation simultanée est ouvert durant nos réunions.
All public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously interpreted, and headsets are located at the entrance to council chambers. You have the right to address council in the official language of your choice. Meetings are also simulcast in both languages on the City of Moncton's YouTube channel and can be found on our website at moncton.ca. If you have registered with the City Clerk's office prior to the no presenters shall speak disrespectfully of council, staff, or a member of the general public. The use of offensive or profane language will not be tolerated. Any breach of this guideline will result in the presenter being asked to leave council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Have some changes.
Perfect. So,
I would kindly ask that we could move item 9.1, recommendations from the Committee of the Whole of May 26th to immediately following the adoption of the agenda. And also, we have an addition for Calvin Martini will present a 2-minute presentation on Active Transportation Coalition for St. George Boulevard.
merci, Madame la Greffière. So, we need
Thank you very much.
Conseiller Kingston.
Councillor Kingston and seconded by Councillor Steves.
Non, il n'y a pas de questions. So, could we?
No questions?
Donc, on approuve. C'est beau. Unanimous. Merci beaucoup. Madame la
We had moved council agreed to move 9.1, the item. Recommendations from the Committee of the Whole of Moncton City Council of May 26, 2025. There are 3 coming before council. The first is that Moncton City Council approved the proposed allocations for additional funds received from CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund as per the attached 3-year budget.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a mover and a seconder?
Thank you very much.
Do you wish to second? C'est beau. Merci. Are there any questions? Conseiller Bourgeois.
Councillor Bourgeois. Inaudible.
Merci, Madame la Maire. Could we have a third?
Thank you very much. As
Meetings are public, but they're rarely covered. So just for the sake of people in the audience and also at home, what exactly we are approving here? Just a 30-second overview.
If Josh could give an overview of the, sorry, Josh, you just walked into the room. I just read in the motion from the Committee of the Whole that happened last week. Councillor Bourgeois is requesting an update, just a very.
Absolutely. I was just trying to find a phone booth to change into, but I successful. So following the council presentation and the recommendation or the suggestion or ask that we were able to move some of the funding around to accommodate the soft cost grant programming and to increase the amount of the heritage analysis, we were able to do so and was provided in a updated Excel sheet that kind of provides the breakdown of the cost. So the good news is we're able to continue with all of the original recommendation funding while also finding that additional funds and using up that 50,000 of about contingency that we had to meet, I guess, council's request following that Committee of the Whole presentation.
But in a nutshell, it's an additional 1.3 million that we.
Oh, as an
received.
overview, yeah, absolutely. So, and as a good news story, we were very successful in our first year of Housing Accelerator Fund. We put in an annual report, which we'll be doing with CMHC every year. And we did submit an additional initiative, being the downtown, the BIA Missing Middle Housing Program or policy. And in review of that, CMHC advertiser had made known that there may be some additional funding made available to municipalities. And following review of our action plan and our results, in addition to the new initiative, we were awarded another approximately $1.3 million in Housing Accelerator Fund money, which we then came through to council with in terms of how administration recommended to allocate. Yeah.
Thank you very much. When we have thank you. I'll be asking the same for number 2, a little explanation. When we have private decisions and it comes back to us, we have the motion, we also have a paragraph that explains it. So usually I thought we had a committee of the whole, we had a little paragraph that explains. Now we don't have it, so it leaves our citizens a little bit in the dark as to what we are approving unless we had that little 2-3 line explanation as Josh gave us. So I suggest we do so in the future. Merci. Merci, Josh. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, Conseiller Bourgeois. Any other questions on this? If not, we will go to the vote. Is it electronic? Electronic vote. C'est ça, là? Motion passed. Merci. Merci à tous. Madame la greffière.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Management policy.
Could I have a mover and a seconder for this motion? And will someone explain as Conseiller Bourgeois suggested?
I see Angela Cornett is coming to the mic. Just push the button and it'll turn on. Try again.
There we go. Thank you, Madame la Maire and Council. So this is a contractor management policy we are looking to put in place to have a coordinated approach to contractor management that makes consistency throughout the organization. Currently, we work in silos to an extent, and we're just trying to amalgamate our contractor management focus to have a direct contractor management policy in place to have us a focused directive.
Councillor Edgett.
Are there any questions? Conseiller Edgett.
Do we have a mover or?
Don't believe we have a.
No,
I
we don't.
would
So go
move
ahead,
the
please move.
approval of this
Okay.
policy. Thank you.
C'est beau,
Need a
merci. And
seconder.
a seconder, someone from Conseil des gens. C'est beau, merci.
That's the vote.
So are there any other questions on this? No? So we have,
Vote is
I
open.
th- we're voting, okay.
Conseiller Léger, Kingston. Conseiller Richard.
Merci. Motion passed unanimously. Madame la greffière.
Excuse, and the final motion that came out of that meeting is that Moncton City Council approve a temporary event street closure on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. to celebrate the Moncton Wildcats 2024-2025 season celebration on the route outlined below. A full closure of Main Street from Mechanic Street to Weldon, a full closure of Canada Street from the back of the Avenir Center to Main Street. The streets will close and reopen progressively as the parade passes. And further, in order to allow the event to proceed as planned, that the public meeting of Moncton City Council of June 2nd be postponed until June 3rd, 2025.
Si, Madame la greffière, could I have a conseiller?
Thank you very much.
Conseiller Léger. Any questions, please? No? Pas de questions? So we will.
No questions? Okay, we can now vote.
Motion passed unanimously. Merci. Madame Nagada.
Oui. We are going to go back to the original order. There were no minutes to be adopted, nothing on the consent agenda. Public presentations is exposé du public. The first this evening is a presentation from Carl Moncton, and Shannon Tatlock is here to give us a presentation.
There we go. Good afternoon, Council. My name's Shannon Tatlock, and I'm the current president of Carl Moncton, and I took over my presidency this year. And I brought along with me some of my board of directors with me. I want to thank you today for allowing me to present on the successes that we've had this year. Do I need to tap to him? Okay. I think this picture speaks for itself. I just want to say a wholehearted thank you to the City of Moncton for approving a grant for us to pave our parking lot. We had the 2024 Everest Canadian Senior Championship here, and we had 26 teams from across Canada, including some from Nunavut, who were in Moncton, and they were very impressed with our facility, and our members as well have really appreciated that we now don't have potholes, that we have a beautiful parking lot to pull into with spots. Some of the changes that I have implemented this year, we took the recommendation from City Council, and we completed governance training through Sport MB, as well as all of our board of directors have signed code of conducts, which we didn't have in place before. I implemented and our board approved Fun Fridays drop-ins, which I'll get into as the presentation continues. We focused on corporate rentals this year, so reaching out to all of our corporate members across the cities and having them come and enjoy the sport of curling for the first time. We also looked at finding more long-term tenants so that we could actually use our facility to support the community and also touch on many different areas and different things, not just curling. And we also joined the City Chamber of Commerce. So our season in review, we had 22 bond spiels, of which we had all the generations involved. We had U8 all the way up to seniors. We had 20 corporate rentals, so 20 businesses from across the City of Moncton and other areas that were into our facility to do bonding. We had school visits, 6 Learn to Curls. So we had 6 groups of about 20 members, so about 120 total. We had 5 Fun Fridays, of which we had 125 brand new people who had never tried curling before. Fun Fridays, I initiated it this year. You could drop in, absolutely no commitment necessary. It was $23 to play. We had instructors on hand to teach you how to play and go out and have some fun. And then off ice, we had snacks, games, things like that. We started with 23 in October, and my last one that I ran in April had 72 people at it. So it was very successful this year. We also had 4 school visits, as well as 4 high school visits where international students came out and tried curling. And we welcomed the Canadian Council of the Blind to our building as well. And they actually attended a national championship. We also hosted 2 Curling Canada events as well. So you can see in some of the photos all the generations that we had. We also focused this year on looking at our building. That when I took over the presidency, I had no idea how large it actually was. And when I toured it, I realized all of the rooms and space that we had available. So we wanted to make sure that we were reliable on ourselves. So a few of our tenants include Pickleball Moncton, Valley Tai Chi, Limber Up Yoga. We have the Mary Kane Dance Studio upstairs, High Tide Food Group, which is our resident chef, Canadian Mental Health Association, and the Special Olympics of New Brunswick, all who use our facility with us. As a board, we also worked very, very hard to get ourselves into a better position financially. As you can see, we moved from a deficit in 2019 to a significant profit in 2025. And I confirmed with my treasurer before I came that that number is actually underestimated. We're probably at least, we're getting close to a 6-figure positive. Some of our outstanding capital projects, we do have heating and cooling units that need to be replaced. We replaced one this year, but we hired a maintenance contract to make sure that we were able to take care of it moving forward. We will need our roof replaced. We have urinals and a bottle filling station that we're actually looking at completing this year because we have the funds available to do that. And our elevator, I'm happy to report, since I sent this project in, we actually were able to correct, and now our elevator is working and functioning, and we're just waiting for the province to approve it. looking ahead, we want to turn on our ice plant September 9th. We're going to increase our Fun Fridays. We're going to increase our corporate events. We want to have more tenants in our building, and we are actually considering a rebrand as well to fully represent who we are as a building. We're not just a curling facility. We're more of a community center where we can have multiple people who come out and enjoy it. As you can see from our tenants, it runs the gamut of who we have there, and we'd love to have some of our city councilors come out as well and take a peek through. And I put up in the photo here some of our facility that we have. We have an office space and a curling classroom that's currently vacant. Our curling classroom actually is right off the elevator and is perfectly and ready available for a new tenant. We have our lounges, our upstairs banquet hall, and our curling lounge, all of which have been completely renovated with brand new ceiling tiles, flooring, and paint. So we've really worked hard to make it a place for everyone, not just for curling. So with that, my time is up. I want to thank you so much for allowing us to come here and for also supporting us. Moncton has a long history of curling, and I am so proud to be able to be here and represent Curl Moncton and have it go in a positive direction.
Thank you, Shannon. Are there questions from colleagues? Conseiller Bourgeois here.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire. Thank you very much for the presentation and congratulations for the significant progress that you've achieved both financially and program-wise. I just wanted to congratulate you, but also we have a corporation of 600 and some odd employees here, different divisions. So is there any way we could circulate the message to our different departments?
We'd love to host you. We have Fisheries and Oceans at our club this year. We have ambassadors on hand who will teach you how to curl and then allow you to do it yourself safely and all the necessary equipment.
So as long as the message can go through the organization, maybe some Christmas time or whatever would happen.
We love that.
Thank you.
Or you can come out on a Fun Friday. We do chocolate bar bingo on those nights.
Thank you. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, Conseiller Bourgeois. Conseiller Steves.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Shannon, for your fresh leadership and your enthusiasm. Also to new board members, perhaps over the last 4 years. Thank you for your time. I remember coming on council in 2021, and it was probably one of my earliest memories here on council. Jacques will remember this. As he reported to us, it was a very, very bleak picture.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there was a sense, I don't know if we said it out loud.
Dread.
We felt like Curl Moncton has died and the funeral just hasn't been performed yet. And now to stand here 4 years later and see the positivity, the excitement, the creativity, the freshness, there was a turnover that needed to take place, and it's exciting, and we celebrate that with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Conseiller Steves. Conseiller Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks very much for the presentation. It's always a pleasure. Would you just take a moment and maybe introduce your board?
Yeah, no problem. So in yellow, this is my general manager, Pat Layden, who really is the heart and soul of the operation. I couldn't do what we've done without her. We actually this year have a student intern. We have a C program, which I implemented this year with Cassandra here. My vice president, Mike Doucette. And then 3 of my board members, Matt Stanley, Peter Robichaux, and Andrew Johnston. And as you can see, one of the comments was I have a very young board, but I find that we're all very excited. We've come with new ideas, and we're really regenerating things and looking at things differently to see how we can stand on our own, and create a path that's curling is not dead, but there are other ways that we can approach it because the world has changed.
He's just a pastor looking for some money for a funeral, that's all. Had to get that little one in. So I can say that I have been to a number of your events. I always get a call from Pat about it, and I appreciate it. And one of the things that I really enjoy is watching the Special Olympics. When
Yes.
you usually have them at the opening of most ceremonies, and they throw that first rock, and just to see how much joy they have about that. It's so important. And
Yes.
you're doing a fantastic job, but also, your staff is excellent too. When you go in there, you really feel warm and you're
Yes.
welcome. And I think that's one of the things that I heard from when I went to a few of the events is that,
Yes.
they just feel like, if there's a problem, usually Pat's there to fix it. but,
Yes.
You know, there's somebody there to look after it, and that's really important. I'm so glad that you had the parking lot done.
Yes, it
That's
was.
awesome. I think I almost lost my four-wheel drive truck there one time.
Ah.
And so anyway, I'm just glad for you. I'm glad to see that you are back in the positive when it comes to
Yes.
the money, and look forward to working with you.
Yes.
Or if anything else we can do, feel free to come or just give a call.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Cleaned
Brian.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Merci, Conseiller Butler. Conseiller Radjit.
Thank you very much, Councillor Butler. Councillor Edgett now.
I am same comments as my fellow councillors. It's my impression that things began to turn around when the curling club took on a collaborative approach with pickleball. And when I heard that, I thought, how innovative, what a way to go, what a way to meet the needs of two, organizations that are trying to complete the same goal. So right now, am I fair in saying about half the club is used for pickleball?
Yeah, so basically we have an extension. So you have a pathway down the center.
Mm-hmm.
Half of it is a pickleball club.
Mm-hmm.
Half of it is Curl Moncton. So pickleball are our tenants, and they're basically renting our additional ice shed
Right.
because it wasn't profitable for us right now to have 10 sheets of ice in. Maybe we'll be there in the future.
Right.
Maybe we won't. But for now, we wanted to look at our space and go, how can we rent our space and find tenants to fill that void so that we fill our cash flow as well?
So what do you use the other side when you don't have ice in?
So in the past, we've had actually the last couple of summers, we had movie studios who actually rented our space to
Oh, wow.
store their props and things like that.
Mm.
We've been approached by indoor roller skating, roller derby to use
Okay.
our space as well. So because we're a large warehouse, essentially, once the ice is out, we have a variety of places that we can go. But we have partnered with a movie studio a couple of years in a row, and they rent our space, store all of their props on the ice. And actually 2 years ago, they were actually filming. They set up sets and backdrops and things like that.
So I really really appreciate your approach to looking at new and inventive things and using the space to the best of your abilities. How would you comment on your involvement with seniors activities?
Yeah, so right now, Mary Kane, as well as Tai Chi, as well as our yoga. We also, I forgot to mention that we're partnered with the Mental Health Association of New Brunswick. They rent our space as well. So we have a lot of seniors. I think our oldest member is 88 at the club.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a thriving day members league who are seniors. And we're actually this year, we're going to be running a stick curling clinic because you recognize curling is hard to get down.
Mm-hmm.
So as people get older, they transition. And we're looking at what St. John is doing. They have a thriving stick, which is you stand, you throw with a rock, you throw with a stick versus getting down. So we want to get more into that. So we're actually going to run a clinic to teach people how to do it to hopefully bring some of them back to curling as well.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Keeping on the seniors theme, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we're trying to find a place for seniors in our city. And in my mind, I would think that Curl Moncton might be open to that sort of possibility.
So our curling classroom that I had showed the photo of, it actually, when you come from our main entrance, there's a long stairwell, there's no stairs.
Mhm.
You actually can go right into the elevator, take that straight up, and it comes right into the curling classroom. And it also has its own bathroom as well up there.
I
So
see.
when it was built that way, so it's about 2,600 square feet, give or take, that's completely available to be renovated and treated however we want. So it's great. That also borders onto the Wedgwood Hall, but we already have Tai Chi and yoga classes and the dance studio. So I'm sure that would all fit in very nicely.
Great. Well, thank you very much for this report. It's very encouraging.
You're welcome.
Merci, Conseiller Radjit. Conseiller Léger.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thanks for the presentation. Now, I'm curious. So you do have in total 10 sheets of ice.
Correct.
You currently
Are using five.
using 5.
Yeah.
And is it the same ice plant?
No, so they're basically like two independent ice
Okay.
plants, two independent operations. So it's kind of, and when you walk down, there's like a big long hallway, and
Yep.
there's one independent operation and one independent. So if we didn't have the ice in like we have with pickleball, it doesn't conflict with one another.
Okay. And what's the future of curling? I mean, it still is growing, and I think I feel that it's going to continue to grow. I
Yes.
think you were unfortunately in a situation where things are changing in a relatively quick way. But just a snapshot of what could Moncton expect, Greater Moncton, in the next several years? Are there discussions of bringing large tournaments here?
Yes. So we've actually applied for one for 2026. I can't say what it is just yet, but we have applied for it. Maybe we'll get it. We do have some eager people who would like to potentially apply for down the road, either the Scotties or the Briar. The Avenir Center would be a great location for that. That is on the radar. I think for now, it's like we've had maybe 1 or 2 years of really strong movement, and I'm trying to make changes because the world has changed since COVID. So I think that's why Fridays, when we did the Fun Friday, was so popular. People don't want commitment anymore. They don't necessarily want to do it every Wednesday. So we're trying to move away to make sure that we take care of all of our members and they get what they need, but also say, how can we open the door to other people coming through to experience curling, to help it grow?
And I was curious, you called it the curling classroom.
Yes.
So what was the purpose that it was designed for? Was it to view the additional 5 sheets of ice?
So originally when the additional shed was built, they hoped that they could do some education. So if there were coaches that were doing training or training high performance, that's kind of what the idea was for those additional 5 sheets. And the upstairs that viewed that would be the curling classroom that would allow them to take members off or trainers off the ice up to the classroom and work with them there. So right now that space is kind of sat vacant and hasn't been used. And we viewed the building and we said, what space do we have and what tenants can we find? And that's a space that we haven't yet found a tenant for.
But in terms of long-term planning, would that be the best use of that space? I understand.
Probably
from a
not, because we
financial
have so much
perspective.
space downstairs. Like we have the lounge behind, so it's the pickleball lounge right now, but behind where the pickleball is, we have our curling lounge, we have another lounge. So we have 3 lounges plus Wedgwood Hall. Could we lose that space for a permanent position? 100%, and it would bother us.
And that's how you've come together. Oh, congratulations. I think it's great. I do say the paving the parking lot and doing all of that stuff around it, the building certainly shines.
Yes.
And congratulations on the cooperation with pickleball and really sort of thinking outside the box, so to speak. And thanks for stepping up as well with seniors and seniors activities.
Yes, for sure.
It's been very helpful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Merci.
Merci, Conseiller Jarre, Madame la Greffière.
Thank you, Mrs. Tatlow. The next presentation is Calvin Martini, and he's here to give a 2-minute presentation to Council on Active Transportation Coalition Re the St. George Street. Mr. Martini.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. My name is Calvin Martini, and I'm here on behalf of the Active Transportation Coalition of Moncton. We recently met with City Engineering about the decision to restore left-turning pockets at St. George, Wellington, and 6th. We are disappointed as this encourages higher vehicle speeds and reduces safety for people walking, cycling, and rolling. We ask Council to help us achieve safer, slower streets because safety for everyone must come first. The continuation of the bike path to the Wellington intersection to connect to the Northwest Trail is a critical missing link. This connection will provide safe, direct access between neighborhoods, schools, and downtown. We understand this project's approval authority rests with the city and should be treated as a separate commitment outside the $1 million AT budget. We also urge Council to prioritize the Northwest Trail extension to Vaughan Harvey and downtown St. George, and to ensure that these projects are ready to access provincial and federal funding. Moncton's AT team is under-resourced and more staff is essential to plan, deliver, and leverage outside funding. We respectfully ask Council to commit to building the bike path continuation to Wellington to connect the Northwest Trail as a standalone project with clear timeline and budget separate from the AT allocation. We ask that we prioritize the Northwest Trail extension to Vaughan Harvey and downtown St. George and ensure that these projects are positioned to access external funding. We thirdly and finally ask for increased resources for active transportation, including hiring a second dedicated staff member. So in closing, with Council's leadership, Moncton can become a model for safe, active, and sustainable transportation. We look forward to working together to make these vital connections and safety improvements a reality. Thank you for your time and commitment.
Merci, thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions au Conseil Léger?
Thank you, Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thank you. I think I appreciate the recommendations to council. I think it's unfortunate what has happened, but on the other hand, if there are safety concerns, it's certainly something that is important to address. What I'm going to say is I would like to ask the city manager that on exactly what you've just said in terms of those priorities and how we can bring those forward. I know that there was or is a commitment with respect to making that intersection right. But the idea that we need to take the active transportation file and we need to move it rapidly as opposed to what we're doing, I think would be essential. So from a budget perspective in planning for our budget session in November, could there be direction to staff to take a look at those recommendations and bring them to council with a calculated amount that we could consider for the 2026 budget?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Definitely we take note of those requests, and staff will have a chance to review it and get back to council in the budgetary process.
So, prior to the budget process, would we have an opportunity as council to maybe discuss this at a committee of the whole, or what would be the steps as opposed to just simply making it a discussion at budget time so that we have ample time to discuss and to also know that the committee has as well been involved and that we're all on the same page?
Administration will look at that and bring it back to council.
Okay, and so we'll make that as one of our items for follow-up with the city clerk. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor.
See, there are no other questions. Thank you so much for the presentation. Merci.
Next are administration presentations, exposé de l'administration. Le premier aujourd'hui, c'est une présentation, insertion.
So our first presentation today is a presentation on Zipper Merge by René Lagacé, Director of Engineering, who will appear before us to give us an overview.
Good evening, City Council, and thank you for allowing me a chance to talk about the Zipper Merge, our favorite topic of discussion at the Engineering Department as of late. The Zipper Merge is all about moving motorists more efficiently through a construction zone. So let's put things in context. If we show up somewhere and we see a lineup, we do the natural thing and we get to the end of the line. That's again, the natural thing to do. We don't want to be that person cutting in front. If we do, we'll certainly get some comments. There seems to be a lot of motorists that use the same approach when they see a lane reduction ahead sign. So when we have a construction zone that goes from 2-lane to 1 lane, there's a lot of motorists that will want to get into that through lane really early in the process. Potentially, that's what they think is the most efficient way to get through the work zone. Or maybe they just don't want to be labeled as that person who cuts in front of everyone, right? However, they're both wrong. There's actually a better way to move traffic through a construction zone when there's a lane reduction, and that is called the Zipper Merge. The Zipper Merge is all about using both lanes that are full capacity up to the merge point. So in the diagrams that you see here, both lanes are filled up to the merge point where the lanes go from 2 lanes to 1. And I'm not talking 100 meters from that point or 50 meters or even 10 meters. We're talking about right where the merge happens. And in at that particular point, this is where cars from each lane take turns and go into the through lane. And as you see it, kind of forms a zipper, hence the name, the Zipper Merge. There's a lot of advantages to use the zipper merge. We'll just highlight a few ones. The first one that comes to mind is preventing or limiting backup. So in the image on the left-hand side, what you'll see is the cars that are lined up in a single lane. And let's say that totals up to about 1 kilometer. Well, if cars were using both lanes, our backup would be 500 meters. Simple math, everyone can divide by 2, right? In that case, it's actually blocking part of the highway system because the backup is so far behind the construction zone, which obviously that creates a safety concern. And in our municipal setting, when we have longer backups, that's more chances, more risk of blocking intersections or driveways. So first advantage, limiting the backups ahead of the construction zone. The second item and the second benefit we want to highlight is that using the zipper merge is actually proven to get more cars through a construction zone than a single line. It's actually more efficient. So imagine you're stuck at a red light and there's a few cars in front of you. And the light turns green. And the first cars realize it's a green light, so they'll move. And then the second car behind sees the first car move, and then they'll move. So it's a process. It's called a reaction time. That's why not all cars are moving at the same time. Maybe one day we'll get to automated vehicles and that won't be a problem. But for now, we have what it's called the reaction time. And in the zipper merge, actually, that reaction time is reduced because you have 2 lanes of traffic simultaneously moving at the same time. And in that case, in the zipper merge, what happens is the cars on the right-hand side, or the red cars here on the image, are actually merging in these natural gaps that are occurring through what we call that reaction time. So it's actually proven that it's more efficient and that you get more cars through a construction zone efficiently. So let me repeat that. If we all use the zipper merge, we'll spend less time on Main Street this summer. The zipper merge is not new. This is something that was thought of, I guess, or invented back in Europe decades ago. NBDTI started using it recently, and it's interesting to see some of the images and some of the promotion, which differ, but it's all the same message. It's really waiting until the merge point to merge and take your time. The Ministère de Transport du Québec has also been promoting it quite a bit. And we see a lot of states using it. And actually, in certain states, it's the law. And if you're one of those motorists that are not letting anyone merge in, you could be fined in some of these states. So it's actually a bit serious in certain jurisdictions. The zipper merge is all about promotion because it works better if more people do it. It would work perfectly if everyone would do it, right? That's utopia. That's where we're trying to get to. So we posted a lot of things on social media, which generated a lot of interesting debate. We have billboards that are promoting this, and we also have construction signs right before the merge that says zipper merge ahead. So it's, again, a lot about getting the message out, and that's why I'm here today actually talking about it and promoting it. Again, the more people do it, the more it works, and more efficiently we'll get through the working zones. So in closing, that car that's on the right-hand side is not trying to cut in front of you. They're simply using the right way to go through a construction zone. And if you're one of those vehicles on the left-hand side that's not letting that person or that motorist merge, the clear message to you is that you're part of the problem and not the solution. And that in certain states, you're actually doing something illegal. You do not have to believe in the zipper merge. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. However, in this case, you'd be against pretty much every opinions of every traffic engineer in the world. So in closing, I wish everyone a great construction season with a lot of zipper merges. Remind everyone to be safe and be respectful. Thank you.
Merci, René. Conseiller Kingston.
Thank you, Madame Addis. Thank you, Denise. So the road rage incidents are going to drop drastically here. That's great. Anytime we try to influence driving habits in Moncton, it's always, everybody's chuckling. We all have our anecdotes in Moncton. And yeah, you mentioned promotion is the huge factor with getting 150,000 people in Moncton, Dieppe, Riverview attuned to that, and it's a great idea. Does the Canadian Transportation, I forget the name of the, they've signed off on this today, perhaps?
Yeah, it's a well-known phenomenon. It's, again, it's in certain jurisdiction, it's the law. It's actually, I do believe it's in the New Brunswick Motor Vehicle Act, but not, more so as a promotion. And certainly the Transportation Association of Canada would be backing this up. Again, one day maybe we'll see it, more seriously in our jurisdiction, where in other states it's actually the law and you could be fined for it.
Are we starting to see it now in Greater Moncton, or is it's coming?
So we're actually, for now, we're more in the education promotion side of things. But I'm definitely glad you mentioned road rage, because theoretically, if this would be applied to the letter, you would take away the first come, first serve kind of, it would be really first come, first serve at that point, because everyone would be filling those 2 lanes of traffic, and then it's really equal and equitable at that point. It's like, each their turn. So just kind of like, students lining up, and, school children could definitely get behind this. But as motorists, it's all about that education, that mindset that I don't want to cut in front, right?
It's very democratic. A lot of them, we're so polite behind the wheel in the city, and when you allow people to come off a merge, let's say off the highway, it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It works well when everybody's on board.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for the clarification. Merci, Madame Alice. Thank you, René.
Merci, Conseiller Kingston. Conseiller Légère.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Merci.
Councillor Léger. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation.
Was in the presentation where it indicates, first of all, using both lanes, then what it's called, and then also showing the diagram of both of the cars in both lanes.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Conseiller Léger. There's definitely a challenge with how much wording we want to put on a revolving sign. Obviously, we want to be...
So maybe it needs to be broken up, because that's the problem. I mean, and there is road rage. And so I'm happy, I saw that the New Brunswick logo's on this. I mean, last summer on Highway 15, it had to be back 2 kilometers. And I was a victim of that. I got in the zipper merge, way to go, until somebody decided that they didn't appreciate that. So they pulled out, and then they stopped, and then they just went along with everybody else at a turtle's pace.
Yes.
So hopefully, but I think the thing is, though, that for an education perspective, you would almost need 3 signs. You'd almost need a first sign that says use both lanes, so then it prompts people. Then the second is it's the reason for that is a zipper lane, and then a final diagram to really point out the fact that you're doing this, and maybe a couple of days of having, maybe even we're in our case on Main Street, maybe having people there who are properly trying. It wouldn't take very long, I think. So
I appreciate the comments. We've seen certain jurisdictions have signs that says, do not merge here, prepare to merge, do not merge here, and then merge here.
Yeah.
Our next step is to have signs put at the merge point and say merge here. That's what's missing right now.
Yeah.
This is obviously like our first project where we're promoting the zipper merge, but we want to do that in future projects whenever there's a lane reduction. We've been communicating with Dieppe as well. They're on board. I think we'll see them promote that as well. NBDTI. Again, it's education, it's promotion, because whenever that second lane is empty, that's when everyone's kind of like, I don't want to be that person, right?
Right.
But again, theoretically, if they're both filled, we resolve the problem, and then it's really, really about, first come, first serve, and should eliminate road rage when you think about it, theoretically.
Yeah, certainly, I think it's a great initiative. Thanks for presenting it, and I'm sure that eventually everyone will catch on, like roundabouts and things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Légère. Merci, René.
Thank you, Conseiller Léger. Thank you, René. Madame City Clerk.
Brad Landry, our fire chief, and I'm not sure if Deputy Chief Charles LeBlanc is coming up as well.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. Thank you for having me. A tough act to follow, talking about zippers. So we'll see, talking about community safety. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to talk about an update on our stats and our programs in the bylaw and fire service. On the bylaw service, as a reminder, just the org chart, you have myself as the director, Natalie Landry, which is the coordinator. She takes care of all the licensing and parking. So anything that has to do with either fire pit licensing or dog tags or anything with licensing taxi, she's in charge of that. Charles LeBlanc is the manager of the department, so he supervises the team. Marc Italien, which is the team lead. And then under on the left of your screen, you have we have three parking. We call them downtown officers. So they rotate between the lobby and officers to give tickets during the week. So there's three of them rotating. Two are giving tickets, and one's at the main office and lobby. Then we have three regular bylaw officers that are Monday to Friday. They take more complicated case or more cases that take a little longer to investigate and to go. And then on the right, we have our four community officers, supervisors, and they have 12 officers under them. So those are teams of four. So one supervisor, three officers, and those are the ones that take care of the city 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Just briefly on some stuff that the department does. Of course, we are there 24 hours a day. So 24 days we're patrolling. We're in the city. We have a uniform presence, so just showing the uniform and the presence of our officers. We're asking them to be city ambassadors, to go talk to the citizens, to go talk to the businesses in downtown, to hear their concerns and explain sometimes how things work. Of course, they have to do their job too. They got to enforce bylaws, so that's their main focus. And then they coordinate cleanup for social issues. So we have a contract with an outside agency that cleans up some social issues in conjunction with EnviroTeam through DMCI. Just some numbers I have here, 22, 23, 24, and then 25 up till the end of April, so the first 4 months. Not going to go through all of those in detail, but there's some trends that we're already seeing. Some are pretty stable, some are increasing. So unsightly premises would be if someone's not maintaining their yard or their house or building is not to standard. Waste collection, that's of course waste when we put our waste out every week. Flyer distribution, so that's people that decide not to have flyers on their lawns, et cetera, so we enforce that. Tall grass, of course, there's only 2 right now. We were kind of no mow May, so now we're going to start see those numbers increase. Noise is an interesting one. We saw a huge increase in 2024. So that a few explanation could be because our officers are more out there, they're quicker to respond, and public education to know that there's someone out there at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we'll see what 2025 brings us. Animal control, so these numbers are on top of what PAWS. So this would be people that would call us, and then we would then either refer them to PAWS or deal with the issue ourselves. Fire prevention would be kind of fireworks or fire pits. Minimum standard, that's for someone maybe that not have their deck or their that's not meeting the safety requirements or the national codes. Wastewater, someone pouring, I don't know, oil or gas in the water system or the sewer system. Parks, makes sense that we're 0 yet. Our parks are just the nice weather is just starting now. So just kind of the bylaw section, we see in 2024, we had about 3,000 requests. So far we're at 751. So that just gives us an idea on where we're at. Social issues, so this is a big one, obviously. The first one, just social issues, is when we get calls for anything social issues, if someone, I don't know, panhandling, for example, where they're not allowed to do it, or debris, if there's debris somewhere. It's a little different than the next one, which is encampment. Encampment is when there's someone there sleeping or living rough. So we separate those two types of categories. Needles, so again, needles, the numbers probably way higher than that. Those are the amount of requests that we got. So if it's someone finds 10 needles or 100 needles, that's just count as one. So that number would probably be a lot higher if we'd have kind of there's a software issue that we're dealing with now. Same thing for shopping carts. Generally speaking, it's only one shopping cart, but we've seen up to 5 shopping carts in one site. So that's just counted as one site, as one. So that total, again, social issue in 2024 was short of 5,000 requests. So far this year, we're almost 500 already. Just the one below, just kind of an FYI cleanup. So this is our outside agency. So this does not include DMCI, and this does not include if our bylaw officers have cleaned up. So if it's just a jacket or whatever, but still there was 738 last year. That's our outside contractor. So 141 of them this year so far. And just kind of interesting weight. So this is just, again, the outside agency, the contractor. So last year, 140,000 kilograms of debris. So far this year, we're at a little over 27,000 kilograms of debris that they've cleaned so far. Parking, use of street, traffic and parking. So these are all the kind of complaints, or if anybody's not parked properly or has the wrong vehicle on a certain street, or et cetera. So anything that has to do with traffic and streets. The next one, use of streets, a little different, is that would be if someone, for example, has a basketball net on a street, which is not allowed, or stuff like that. Ticket review, so when someone is not agreeing with a certain ticket they received, so we have a process for that. So that's quite a bit. You see last year, almost 2,000 reviews, so that takes a lot of staff time. Parking bans, that's for the winter parking bans. So this specifically is when we get requests to tow vehicles. So we not necessarily towed all those vehicles, but it's a request that we get. So we got to give it a ticket, the vehicle, before they tow it. And it's Public Works that takes care of the towing. They call it tow truck, obviously. So again, 269 requests this year so far, 40. Hopefully we don't have any this summer, no snow this summer. Repairs, so this from meter repairs to gate repairs. So these would be the requests that we got. Parking, just general parking inquiries, just people asking about parking questions. So again, in the parking and street use, a little over 4,000 last year. So we're already at 1,000 in 4 months. So it seems like the numbers are going to be fairly similar this year. Again, as a point of interest, the bottom two parking tickets. So last year gave over 14,000 tickets. So far, we gave a little over 3,000. So out of that, there's, if you look at the percentage, about 23% didn't pay. So far this year, 29%, but that's very short so far. We have tendered for software for our parking system. So we'll be coming to council shortly with a recommendation on a new software that's going to assist assist the staff in parking and the citizens. License and permit, taxi owner, taxi drivers. So just as a difference, taxi owner is the individual that owns the actual taxi, the vehicle, versus the chauffeur, obviously. So that's why the number is a little higher, because some people have multiple chauffeurs, drivers for one vehicle. Dog tags, that's self-explanatory. Fire pits, pawn shops, so pretty stable every year. Portable signs, same thing. We'll probably see a few more coming up this summer. In Sidewalk Cafe, for the last 3 years, we had 19. We have one extra this year, so we're at 20. So in summary, again, I love this graph because it really shows the council has approved increasing staff. So in 2020 was when we started the community officer program. But the big one is in 2022 when we went 24 hours and council had approved 9 extra staff. So that was the 4 per shift, 24 hours a day. And you see the numbers increasing dramatically since then. So it really shows the effect of these officers in the street. The next one is kind of total numbers of calls. So again, you see in 2020 it's starting to increase, but 2022 is really where it takes off. So last year we were just short of 12,000 calls, or 12,000 requests. So far this year we're a little over 2,500 requests or service requests. So they are a very busy department. Just here, you see kind of our tools that we have. Of course, we have the vehicles. We have some bicycles, some drones, some ATVs to go in more remote or in the parks, etc. Just what the bylaw has access to their arsenal of tools, I guess. Just a small update on bylaw. is we are waiting for a report from a consultant, again, a proposal that we're going to make for the government for a peace officer. So that was promised to us by Friday. So we're looking forward to see what that looks like. And also, the council had approved to convert all the commissionaires to full-time staff. So we're almost there. We're just 5 short of the 19 community officers. So we're doing some interviews next few weeks. So within the next month or so, we should be fully staffed. So that's, and that was kind of the process. In order for the peace officer status, we needed to have those full-time city staff first, and now we can apply with the province to get them their status. And I just wanted to add one slide, and I apologize, it's kind of covering the bottom numbers here, but for fire, because fire obviously falls under me, but just some numbers. What's kind of interesting, if you take kind of the COVID out, so 2020 and 2021, if you take that, you see a kind of a steady increase. And a lot of people say, well, it's a lot of increase in medical calls because of the social issues. But if you look at pretty much every category, our fire calls have increased from alarms. So that's kind of a residential alarm or commercial alarm, actual fires. So that's fires or smoke, not necessarily always fire, but normally when there's smoke, there's fire. Gas leak, medical calls, and I just added just on the bottom, I know the numbers are small, but just to say, because the question was probably going to come up about overdoses. So you see the number of overdoses. So kind of if we look at 2022, 286, 2023, 849, 2024 went down a little bit, in 2025 went 187. Just want to clarify that that's overdose that we're called to. So we're not sure if it's an overdose or not. So we arrive there, it might be someone that's just feeling faint or someone that might be having a heart attack. But so dispatchers try their best to kind of triage that if it's an overdose or not. But it is some numbers. We think the numbers are going down because we're working really closely with the shelters, like we work with the nursing home anywhere where they have qualified, trained staff. There's no need for us to go send the big red truck if they already have staff on site that are certified and capable and have the equipment. So that might justify a little bit. The numbers are going down a little bit. Right under there, motor vehicle collision, obviously a big part of our job. Public hazards. Public service, that could be from someone wanting us to check their smoke detector, et cetera. Rescue and other calls that are kind of smaller numbers. So right now, even this year, if you look again, if you take COVID out from 2017, the bottom number that you can't see, we had over 5,600 calls. The next year, 58, 6,100. If you take COVID out, then 7,000, 7,800, 9,100. This year, we expect to surpass 10,000 calls. So that's in every category, not just medical. So we are definitely seeing the call volume increase as the city increases. And I'll finish on the fire service review. So as you know, we went to tender for a fire service review. They took their time and analyzed our fire service in the community. And we should be, we're almost done doing all the analysis. So in July, we're expecting to present a detailed report to council. If not, thank you for listening to me, and I'm open for questions or comments.
Merci, Monsieur Conrad. Conseiller Richard.
Merci. Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Councillor Richard. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Chief.
Name parking use of streets. Parking and use of streets. The first line, traffic and parking. Just wondering if you could specify a little deeper what parking I know parking, but what traffic violations they can enforce?
Right. So that could be someone blocking a street or a driveway or something like that. So we can't stop a vehicle if they're driving too fast. That's not what we're talking about. But if they're not using the street for what it was intended for, parking a large vehicle that's not permitted there, or trailer, you can't just leave a utility trailer in the front yard for days and days. So those are the type of stuff that we would get some complaints about.
Okay, so someone blocking a sidewalk.
That could be, yeah, that could be one of them. Yes, okay. That could be definitely part of it.
A lot of driveways have sidewalk going through. Next slide after, license and permit, taxi drivers. So I know here, I was trying to go back into what violations, is there, how can a resident put a complaint against a taxi driver?
Well, I hope they don't. Hopefully that they meet all our requirements, but if they
I
have
would
a
have
con-
had one last week.
Yeah, if they have a concern, they call the regular 24-hour number 853-3333. But the stuff that you need to look at is their sticker on the window has the right year and month on it. So it's like your registration, your inspection on your vehicle. There's a month and a year, so we need to make sure that that's good. For example, if you enter the taxi, it's got to be clean. It's got to have a picture of the driver, et cetera. The car needs to be in a good condition. So if the driver's not being nice or courteous, et cetera. So there's a whole list of requirements that they do need to meet. If they don't follow the law, if they drive too fast, all that stuff, we can, if we get the concern, we can investigate. And if there's a violation, they could get a fine or even lose their license. So they just call the 853-3333, 24 hours a day, and we'll send in an officer. And if they're driving, then we'll call the RCMP and they'll assist us to stop that vehicle.
Okay. Report an issue could be used in the same?
Yes, so either the website or the portal, exactly. Yep, that's absolutely. If you do a report an issue, it'd be nice to have like the license plate, the time and place, and the infraction that you think happened, but absolutely.
I really enjoy the report and issue, so if residents are listening, please take advantage of it, so. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. Conseiller Légère.
Councillor Légère.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and Chief.
Community officers, maybe I saw different type of equipment that they're using. Are they, and somebody has mentioned, although I've not seen them in parks and stuff like that, patrolling as well?
Yeah, so we do, thank you for the question, Councilor Leger. So we do have a schedule. They have to go, there's certain parks that we know that are maybe more problematic. So they do frequently visit those parks, and there's a schedule, like even the schools. So at a certain time of day, they have to report that back to us on the reporting. So there's certain parts. So if you do have an area of concern and you'd like to see more patrol, we can definitely increase that. But there's a schedule of when they have to go each park.
Okay. With respect to the possibility of the officers becoming peace officers, what do you think will be the next steps if the first step is that all of the officers were requested to be employees of the City of Moncton? So what are the following steps now, and perhaps a time frame?
Right. So step 2 was to get the proposal accumulated. So we're expecting that later on this week. We'll review that, et cetera. And then with the meeting with the leadership is to send the request to the province on getting us the permission to appoint peace officers.
And would we perhaps approach it as a pilot for the City of Moncton? Because I'm sure that there would be learnings for other municipalities that could help in terms of maybe having a standard across the province of New Brunswick.
Yeah, there's a lot of municipalities that are watching us and they're waiting for this results because it's never been done before in New Brunswick. It's been done many, many times across the country. So the other municipalities, so I'm not sure if it'd be a pilot project, but the province would want us to make sure that, of course, we set a standard and then the other municipalities might want to follow. So we're going to work with the province closely on that if we get permission.
Yeah, and that's certainly important with respect to, the discussions we have with Kodiak Regional Policing Authority and the number of Kodiak RCMP members that are being requested and so on. So I look forward to that. In the file that, or the numbers that you presented related to fire, I'm curious because, well, first of all, the medical calls are high. I mean, for 2025, I'd say probably close to 70% of those 9,000 or more calls were medical calls.
Correct.
So I'm still concerned. A question I have is there better communication now between 911 Ambulance New Brunswick and the fire group? Because what I witnessed last year was a real disconnect. There was a person who had collapsed. It was categorized as a medical call. The 911 operator transferred it to Ambulance New Brunswick. The patient or the person had vital signs. It was deemed it was deemed emergency, but not elevated to the same level. The ambulance was nearby, showed up very rapidly. Meanwhile, the fire crew never got that message. And they came full lights, sirens, the whole works. And it's alarming. And I understand there was a disconnect. And so I'm just wondering, has that gotten better? And if not, then how can that be addressed so that they would have stood down? They didn't need to be there unless, well, they probably could have, continued for additional help, perhaps. But just your comments on that, and has it gotten better?
So to answer, it's got a little better, but so first of all, let me back up, is that we have a triage system. We don't go to every medical call in Moncton. We only go to the most serious ones. And sometimes we go because maybe it's not serious, but there's a person that's on the third floor and they need someone to help them, et cetera. So the urgency might not be as much as they need more personnel to help. But what we started, and we only had 2 meetings so far, is a committee with Moncton Review, Dieppe, fire departments, Ambulance New Brunswick, and RCMP, and dispatch, and ambulance dispatch, and 911 dispatch, because there was a miscommunication between those 2 agencies. So now we are bringing all these folks in the same, and it's about communication. So Tri-Community Communication Committee. So definitely we've seen some improvement and some understanding as we're at those meetings, and say, oh, we didn't realize that. We didn't. So a lot of that. So we only had 2 meetings. We're seeing some small improvement. So we're going to continue monthly meetings to make sure that continues. The dialogue continues.
Okay, no, that's good to hear. Fire alarms. I'm always amazed, in 2025, I think the number, you had over almost 1,133 alarms. I'm sure that some of those must be repeat alarms, and some municipalities have instituted fines, whereas the first time, okay, it could be there was an issue. It needs to be corrected a second time, maybe the third time, there's a fine. And I expect that with over 1,000 alarms, that could be a substantial amount of revenue. It's not for the revenue. It's to make sure that if there is a true alarm, that the system is working and that you show up, but you don't just show up because somebody's just being neglecting. So their alarm system, for example. So what can you tell us on that? And maybe that'll be an ongoing discussion with staff, is how can we enforce this so that you perhaps would see those calls diminished in half, but in turn have revenue?
Yeah, there's 2 things. If you see from 2022 to 2023, almost not quite, but quite a bit of an increase, like kind of 80% increase over, and that's an alarm company that came into the city, and I won't mention the name, and it's not monitored as well. So we are looking at that, communicating with that company, but also St. John has a really robust fine system. And again, it's not for the money, is that we don't want resource to be caught when they could be at another call, right? It's all about having the resource available. So we are starting to look at a bylaw that would include those kinds of fees. Again, first alarm, absolutely no issues there, but second or third. And we had some cases like there's 4 or 5 alarms on the same day. So that's very concerning. So it's one thing if you have 3 alarms in a year, but it's another thing if you have 5 alarms on the same day. And if they're false alarm. If they're legit, then absolutely. So we're kind of looking at what St. John did, and it seems to be successful. It did show a reduction in false alarm in St. John.
So maybe through to the city manager, can we take a look at what St. John has done, and maybe not even have to reinvent the wheel, and just look at what their bylaw says and how we could implement it here in Moncton?
Monsieur le Gérant, est-ce que Conseiller Léger?
To the city manager? Yes, yes, that is something that we could follow up on.
Thank you. C'est tout. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
That would be it for me. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, and
Councilor Butler.
staff, the Charles and them, you know, I find that you're doing an excellent job, especially now since we've changed over to, from the commissionaires. I just find that they have a better upbeat about themselves and they feel more professional. Understand that. I mean, the guy before they'd be out there and they could get hurt and they'd be no sick time or anything. So it's really great that council, you know, and yourself brought this all forward. My thing is that we keep talking about a peace officer, bringing in peace officers, but the majority of public might not know what that is. I know, but would you give it a little short explanation of what the difference would be?
Yeah, so what we're looking at, a peace officer is for specific acts in the province that we could enforce, like the Trespass Act would be one of them, for example. The Detain Act, so potentially we could hold somebody until the RCMP arrives, so if we see somebody. So those are examples, the Mental Health Act or the Public Intoxication Act or something like that. So we're looking at that. The more important is the ability to carry some protective tools. And I'm not talking about guns. I'm talking about if it's a baton or pepper spray or whatever, something like that. Because right now they don't have a whole lot to defend themselves. So they have their skill. They're all trained. So that's what we're looking for, is just a little bit more of the tools and then just additional authority. The peace officer, if you're a full-fledged peace officer, you can enforce a lot of acts. We're only looking for 5 specific acts to be able to enforce. We're not looking to be police officer. We're looking there to assist and to complement the police force in collaboration. So we're really hoping there's definitely some interest in the provincial government to at least hear us. And during the election, they had all parties said that they were interested in listening. So we're very optimistic and hopefully that we can come to some kind, if it's a pilot project, we're more than willing to be the pilot project for the province.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think that's one of them things in the middle that we don't have right now. But looking at your calls that you've had since we brought the community safety officers on board, it's really must have taken a lot of calls down from the RCMP. They must. I'm just looking at the calls that the community safety officers have taken, and also with fire, just with the overdoses and things. I think when we did this, that was one of the reasons why, was to try to cut down the workload from our police officers to get away from this nuisance stuff, that what they would call it. Now they can go on and do other things. So kudos to for you guys for getting this done. One of the things that I still get calls about is that you'll see the bylaw, they'll say, I just seen a bylaw officer drive by and there's a car parked on this sidewalk and they never even stop. Are we still going with complaint driven, or how are we going to do that? I know it's kind of touch, you know, they're going on a call, and
Yeah.
but
Currently, we're still one short per team, so we're missing 5 members. So we try to be proactive as much as when we have the time between the calls. So of course at 3 a.m. it's not as busy, so there's time to look at the parks and all that stuff. But that's our objective. Is we want to focus on 2 things. Is one, to be proactive, to be educate. We don't want to give fines, to be honest, and the purpose is to educate, to make sure people comply, and also to be out there to talk to the citizen and to be part of the community. The people experiencing homelessness, they know our officers and our officers know them on a first name basis. They've built that relationship and they build that trust and say, listen, you just can't stay here, and let me help you. And here's some resources where I think you might find help. So we're seeing that respect both ways, but absolutely, I mean, it has to affect the RCMP, but their call volume is increasing also. So maybe the bottom line doesn't affect it, but if we wouldn't do this, their call volume would be even higher. So
yeah,
I think it helps.
for sure. Just one last thing, Chief. I've been getting some complaints in the last couple weeks about the electric scooters.
Yes.
The RCMP have come out in the newspaper and made a statement that everybody that uses them or rents them have to have a class or a class 9, they call it. It's really, it's 14 and over can drive them. And helmets have to be used. You know, I've seen a number of places where they were being used. People don't understand that it's still a motorized vehicle. You know, you can be charged for impaired driving on an electric scooter, but they don't seem to know that. But one of these days they will, or maybe they have already. But I think one of the things that I looked at, Halifax has a bylaw. Charlottetown has a bylaw. I couldn't find any in Fredericton doesn't have one. I didn't look in St. John, but are we? I don't know why we're trying to reinvent the wheel. Halifax has an excellent one. I read it, and so does Charlottetown. I'm not sure why we're not just taking that and bringing it here and getting it passed, because this is something that, if you remember back when the boot started, it was kind of like the cowboy, you know, just going crazy. And I find that this is what's happening now. Parents are going to tapping it and the kids are taking off with it. So you got any comments? I'm sure that you're getting calls.
Yeah, we're exactly working on that. We have a committee going on. We're meeting regularly. And you got to understand, and I know you do, is that there's two components. There's the business part of it. So we want to regulate that. And then there's a user part of it. So and then if they use on the street, that's a RCMP thing. If they use on the sidewalk, then that's our thing. So we got to make sure, because our bylaws, we're not 100% clear as a bicycle mostly, or like the motor vehicle act is there, but it's not 100% clear. So we need to work. So we are actively working on that. We're meeting on a regular basis to bring to council some suggestions for modifying our bylaw and to bring a new bylaw on the operator itself.
So have you, I'm just wondering, so we're working on it, but you know, how long is it going to take? Are we getting something this summer?
It probably won't be in effect for this summer, but we took the Halifax bylaw, which I agree is really well done. Yeah. And we're Monctonizing it. So we might bring something sooner than later, but by the time the 3 readings, it probably won't be effect for the summer, but we're working on it.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I just want to pass on my congratulations to Charles and them. They're doing a heck of a job. Every time you call, they get back to you. And, you know, it's just when you deal with them, they're very professional, the ones you have here now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Butler. Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, thanks for the presentation. Truly appreciate it. I've got a few questions, just minor questions. On the social issues, which we seem to talk a lot about around this table, is there some way that you could break this down so that we can understand quarterly what we're going through in the city of Moncton? Because right now I'm looking at 2024 to your slide presentation on page number 5. And then we jump to 2025, but it's only first quarter, right? So is there some way that we can maybe identify the highs and the lows? And the reason why I say that, and I know it's probably 12 months a year, but the reason why I say that is I think there's going to be a lot more engagement with the provincial government in the coming future to discuss social issues and to discuss where the data is driven. And just looking at this, I only see an overall yearly data. So is this something that you would have, or somebody within the department would have?
So just so I'm clear, are you looking kind of our peak time, like a monthly kind of numbers?
Quarterly, so three months.
Okay, so every
quarter, right? It'd be 4 times a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're starting, but would you like to compare like this quarter with last year's quarter?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah. Perfect. It's just I'm trying to get that data so that, you know, the next time that we do meet with our MLAs or maybe the MP of Moncton to discuss social issues, that council has that data in their pocket as well.
We have that data.
Okay, perfect. With regards to the peace officers, and you had mentioned them shortly, or just a few minutes ago with Councillor Butler, I was in Ottawa over the weekend at FCM, and I shared with the city manager, and I do believe Jeff, what they're doing in Ottawa. They call it and I wrote it down here, special constable. Right. Okay, so you're shaking your head. You understand what this is?
Yeah. So the in the act, they use the terminology peace officer and special constable almost as a synonym. It's not quite, but they use it interchangeably in the act, so it's the same thing.
Okay, because it was interesting because I was out for supper and coming back from supper, and they had somebody in handcuffs, and they were on site and they were securing a car accident, as an example. Yeah. You know, and things along this line. So I happened to have a conversation with somebody on site, and it was just what they do is traffic control and all this other stuff around I'm gonna call it not emergency, because technically the RCMP should be there for the emergency within the city of Moncton.
Right.
But they make sure that they're on site, they make sure the site's secure, and they make sure that we're not paying to have an RCMP officer or maybe a possible fire officer on site that the city of Moncton is spending so much money on for the safety of the residents of the rest of the city.
Right.
So have you looked into this even more?
Yeah, and that's one of the, like, kind of one of the reasons also for the peace officers, those types of activities they could do. But also, like, during the Wildcat celebration last night, I mean, the bylaw officers were there helping with traffic and all that. So we're seeing a lot of benefits to those kind of event whenever there's a special event. And because they're 24 hours and just a radio, we can have them respond. And our top priority might be not the top priority for RCMP. So sometimes we get there before them, not because we don't have sirens and we just have yellow lights, but because it's our priority and RCMP might not be because they have more urgent. We're seeing those types of incidents that were there before the RCMP just because of that, especially on social issues.
Okay, good. And that was my only question on the social issues. The use of the streets, I'm going to put my hand up. I had to park on the street to come into council today because the parking lot was full. So just letting you know, if I happen to have some sort of ticket, anybody in the room that has a ticket that parked on the street tonight because they couldn't get in the parking lot, you know, that's one of those things. But there is a lot of information here, but quite honestly, I'll send it to you in an email, maybe a little bit more, some items that I'd like to see in depth.
Sure.
That we as a council should be having discussions on with the other two levels of government. And I think that would help, you know, the Moncton Fire Department and the membership as well, because they do a bang on job. You know, I remember the day when my dad passed away and, you know, they were there, they were efficient. They took time to take care of my mom and so on and so forth. So to me, I want to keep those people available for the rest of the citizens of Moncton as well, but make sure that we understand where the drive is coming from and where we need to invest and where the other levels of government do.
The good news, we have the data. It's just a matter of how we display it. So we can definitely do that.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all I have.
Merci, Conseiller Crossman, Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire. Merci beaucoup, Conrad et équipe.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you very much, Conrad and team. I do have a few questions for you, and I'll start with the one that came to mind first. You talked about the scooter bylaw, so and you think that it might take too long to have it for this summer, but I have a question from a legal standpoint. In a case that would be seen as urgent, for example, if we feared to see an accident, I've seen people on a scooter without a helmet, I've seen them on the sidewalk, I've seen them driving through an intersection as if they were a pedestrian, going the wrong way on the road. So if we were to feel that this is a risk to the public, is there any way we can accelerate first, second, and third reading of a bylaw? Because this is really just tweaking, if you will, because we'll take the Halifax bylaw and we'll simply amend it. So by next meeting in June, is there any way we could do first, second, and third reading if council chooses to do so? That way it could be done by this summer.
Donc, juste pour m'assurer que je comprends bien.
I just want to make sure that I understand. First of all, thank you for the question. I just want to make sure that I've understood. You're asking if it's possible to do 3 readings of a bylaw during a meeting because it is deemed to be urgent? Okay, well, my first instinct would be to say that it's not necessarily considered an emergency if we look at local governance, but we can do a few checks and come back to council and let you know if it's something that we could do. But my first instinct is to say that no, this isn't necessarily the intent of an emergency under the Local Governance Act, but we'd have to check. Well, I think it's council who would decide if something is urgent or not. But if we look at procedure and regulations and just procedure for council in general, is there something we can do? Can we declare that this is an urgent issue for us? And if so, could we do 3 readings? You don't need to answer right now, but by next meeting, I would just like to know if it's possible, because then we could really act on this. And if we deem that it is urgent, we could do the 3 readings. Okay, well, we'll come back with comments to council. But I'd like to come back to something else that you've mentioned. All of those examples that you've given, riding without a helmet. I think that you also said somebody driving illegally or using the scooter illegally on a sidewalk, for example. These might be more public safety issues, so having to do with the RCMP, for example, not wearing a helmet, that's part of the Motor Vehicle Act, and it's something that the RCMP could do. So perhaps those incidents could be notified. Well, the chief just said that if we wanted to regulate these new devices, if we wanted to do that to have public safety, but that we can't do that before August, for example, and then it would only be applied after summer. Well, my question is why would we have a bylaw if now you're saying that the RCMP does it? Why would we have a bylaw for our officers if you're saying this should be done by the RCMP? I just don't understand why this is a dilemma. Well, let us verify a few things, and we'll get some answers for you, and we'll try and clearly establish what the RCMP enforces and what the city has the authority to do. Right, because if Halifax and other municipalities have a bylaw, it's because there was a need for it, right? Correct. Absolutely. Okay, well, if that is the case, can we do first, second, and third reading immediately at our next meeting in June in order to have the bylaw in place for summer? Because personally, as a counselor, I can't accept that we be limited by procedure in an emergency situation when there's public safety to be considered. It's nobody's fault here. It's just, I just wonder if we can make a little bit of an exception here, and we'll see what council says. Now, for my next question. Last time we discussed this, maybe it was 6 months ago, maybe up to a year ago, you had recruitment and retention issues. Councillor Butler talked about it a little bit, but now that we've transitioned with the commissioners, is that something that's behind you now? Do you have staff that stays longer? There's no turnaround? Are they paid more? Are they just more happy? I don't know. Do they stay? Well, morale seems better. People do seem to want to stay. They're talking about next year or in 2 years or in 3 years. Once again, we are missing 5 staff. We're currently recruiting. So we're not just going to hire just to hire. So we are right now reaching out to schools and colleges because perhaps we've recruited whoever's recruitable right now, but things look positive. Okay, but I get the impression that if we had the peace officer designation, that would help with recruitment because you have more powers, a higher status, if you will. Okay, so on that question, actually, I remember the first time that we discussed this in council, I think it was 2011, the first Paravel and Taylor report. So we've been talking about it for a while, and it said that some municipalities, especially in Western Canada, they had their own peace officers. That was like 15 years ago. So we have been asking for this in the province for a long time, and all of a sudden it looks like we're getting the green light. Well, I'm not sure it's necessarily that simple. It's just that during the elections, each party said that they would try to listen to municipalities more. So I won't call it a electoral promise, but they did promise to listen to us. So we had already sent several requests in the past, and now that we decided to present legal recommendations and a lot of research on acts and so on and so forth. So we're really going ahead full speed right now to put together a very good proposal, and we hope to get a positive response. Well, I wish you good luck with this because it is very important and it would allow us to have more boots on the ground. We don't need to have only RCMP officers. There's no need to explain why. But we know that RCMP officers are too busy to have time for minor crime. So if we can have 2 peace officers for the price of 1 RCMP officer for these minor issues, that would be great. Would that mean, for example, well, I know that in other municipalities it is the case. It's perhaps an exception, but it does happen. So does this mean that, for example, we would be able to offer a traffic unit, so road patrol, as a peace officer, if ever it were to get to that? Is that one of the 5 acts that you said that you were looking at? It's not one of the 5 that we are asking for right now, one of the 5 laws. But once we do get peace officer status, then we could ask for things to be added. Our opinion is that according to the act, it should be allowed, and we're just trying to say we just need to specify what acts can be enforced by peace officers. So we've started with 5, but then the one that you've just mentioned that could be added in the future, because we also need to consider respect and credibility with the province. Right. One of the issues that we have with the RCMP is that we pay for their traffic unit, but it is a unit that's in Fredericton and they come to Moncton perhaps once a month. They do intense patrol for a day or 2 and then they go back. But if we had it with the peace officers, it would be 7 days a week. Maybe not 24 hours a day, but it would be a lot more frequent. And again, we'd have twice the amount of peace officers for the same amount than we would pay for RCMP. And it would end up costing a lot more if they came to council to say that they wanted this traffic unit here with the RCMP. So is it possible to do it with peace officers? It is legally possible, yes. And same thing if we want to pull over a taxi to check their information. Right now we need to go through the RCMP, but we'd hope to be able to go through a peace officer. Okay, great. Thank you. Now, my next question. The officers who work on the ground and who would be working with people in an overdose situation, are they well equipped to do this? For example, do they have Narcan or do they have equipment to bring people back from the brink? If the person needs are we equipped to help somebody breathe again? Well, yes, everybody has at least 2 doses of Narcan directly on them, on their belt, and then there's more in the cars, in the vehicles. All the officers have a course of 40 hours. Some haven't completed the training yet, but most have the 40-hour training on how to use Narcan and oxygen, and the breathing masks, and so on and so forth. So what happens often is we know that in shelters, they are already well equipped, but if something happens in the woods, for example, or not in a shelter, well, there it is an advantage and they can start maneuvers immediately. And it's incredible the success rate that we have. Narcan works extremely well, and people say, you know, it's great. You have somebody who's not breathing on the ground and you give them Narcan and they wake up. So it's a great feeling. Okay, thank you. And I'd like to just finish with one quick little comment. I've met the citizens just at noon at the restaurant today, and they live on Victoria Park, and they have found a huge difference this summer because there is regular patrol around Victoria Park, and I get the feeling that it's the same thing throughout the municipality where we have a presence. I don't want to call it police presence, but it's almost the same thing. So thank you so much for your service. And again, it is very much appreciated of things to look into, but there is a lot of progress. So thank you very much, and thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor LeBlanc, just a short question. I know that as a woman and a senior woman, I'm concerned about walking on Main Street. And I'm not the only one. Have you witnessed attacks? Because I'd like to reassure them. Some people approached me. I talked to the RCMP, but I would like to know if you witnessed that. It's very difficult to know about that because usually the RCMP is contacted. We've heard anecdotal evidence of attacks, and our officers had to intervene on several occasions to interrupt fights. So I don't really have any stats to give to you. The RCMP would have that, but on St. George Street, there's more homeless people, so that's the kind of events and incidents that would occur there. It's not alarming, but maybe the RCMP might have a different opinion. Thank you very much.
Merci, Councilleur Leblanc.
Thank you, Councillor LeBlanc. Councillor Léger. Thank you, Your Worship.
You've probably seen the article that CBC wrote with respect to the Halifax experience, but what So what they've signed up for is a company that I think they're providing e-scooters and e-bikes in over 30 municipalities. They all have a helmet. They have the software that makes it, in their mind, they will stop you from driving on the sidewalk. They literally will stop your bike and then will find the person using the bike. There's a lot of different things that are quite positive. They have done it as a pilot project for 2 years. So it really is an attempt to understand the safety component, because it's a marvelous way to get around the city. And I've seen them being used a lot. But as you know, Councillor Bourgeois mentioned, they're everywhere. And so I feel that it is something that we need to take seriously in terms of could we, if technically we can't pass a bylaw, we can't do the three readings in one go, then what would stop us as a suggestion of having a special session of council 10 minutes before our regular public session of council and we do the first reading? I don't know, but I think we need to be sort of looking at something along that line. But in any event, I really truly hope that we take this seriously and we can do this very quickly. I do like the way though, and apparently there is a company in Halifax that also provides very similar technology, because they were shortlisted in the tender. So anyway, it would be interesting to see that come back, and hopefully we can get some comments on so that the safety concern is addressed immediately.
So Councilor Leger, we did meet with both. There's two companies that we are aware of that operate in Moncton. We did meet with both companies, and you're right, they have that technology. They can put these e-scooters, for example, inoperable on a sidewalk. They can geofence it and all that stuff. They are planning on putting helmets that it would be locked, and then as soon as you scan, it would unlock the helmet. So they are very willing to work with us. Without the bylaw, they want to be good entrepreneurs. So we did meet with them, and we're in constant communication to try to minimize until the bylaw comes into effect.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. And if that is the case, then maybe at the end of the day, we wouldn't need a bylaw, but we need some assurance, and also there need to be drop-off zones. They're showing up everywhere and people don't know what to do with them, although they do pick them up.
Yep.
And so they only last a little while and then they're gone. So anyway, all right, thank you. Merci.
Merci. Il n'y a pas d'autres questions. Donc, merci.
Seeing no other questions, thank you so much, Mr. Landry. We very much appreciate your presentation.
Would the seniors agree to allowing the students to go first? So thank you so much. So.
I believe that the students are here, and there are several students that are going to be presenting on the report. I would kindly ask if you identify yourself for the record and the school that you attend.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Isabel Moore, and I attend Harrison Trimble High School. I'm graduating this year in like 2 weeks. I'm very excited. I'm counting the days. And I'm joined here by my fellow committee members to present the 2025 Youth Fest report. Le 7 mai dernier, le 20e Festival Jeunesse a eu lieu à Hôtel de Ville avec...
So the last 2025 Youth Fest was held at City Hall with 80 students in attendance from 5 schools.
Lillian Surette, Sandra Wallace, Susan Plews, and Terry Alain from the Seniors Advisory Committee for volunteering their time at this event. We hope you enjoyed your day.
Hello, my name is Anastasia Drabaska, and I am a student at Moncton Christian Academy. So, throughout the day, students were awarded a series, students answered a series of polling questions, and the results are included in the report. So here are a few examples. 57% of students never take Courrier Transpo. 71% of students prefer to obtain information from social media. 56% of students feel that Moncton values youth, and 55% of participants feel it should be mandatory for everyone to vote in elections.
Hello, my name is Toby Obeni, and I'm a student at Moncton Christian Academy. During the day, we had 2 interesting presentations on public transit and youth engagement. We also elected a mock mayor for the day. 5 candidates had 2 minutes to answer the question, if you were elected mayor, what would you do to encourage youth to return to Moncton after their post-secondary studies? Zaid El-Adi was elected mock mayor for the day with 1 vote more than the next candidate. With 3 spoiled ballots, the results could have been different. Bonjour, je m'appelle Sahar et je suis étudiante à l'école Odyssée.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah. I'm a student at the Odyssey School. We had a small group on public transit and youth engagement. It gave us the opportunity to share our opinions. So students were divided into 4 groups, 2 English speaking, 2 French speaking. So I'd like to thank all of the students from the Anglophone schools for their effort to speak French. Here is some of the feedback that we've received in our small group on public transit. So it was suggested that tutorials be broadcast on Instagram or TikTok. Students think it takes too long to go from point A to point B, and the connections are also a concern. Service frequency should be increased on several lines, and buses should be in operation later so that working students can go home after work. Yeah. More promotion is needed and advertising is needed concerning the Kodiak Transpo app because students would like to be able to pay using debit or credit cards.
Some of the comments that were made during youth engagement breakouts sessions include the following. While students feel their opinion matters, they want to elect officials to actually listen to their ideas. They want to be treated as equals. In-person engagement is the preferred method of engagement. Students recommend posts on Instagram instead of Facebook and want information regarding events and recaps of council meetings. They want to express a desire for more events like Youth Fest during the year. We want to congratulate the city on their creation of Community Development Officer of Senior and Youth. This is very positive.
Lors de la réunion publique festive,
During the mock town hall that was organized at City Hall, we did a mock session for a request to rezone 2 vacant lots on Youth Committee Drive from R2 residential to mixed-use zoning. It would have commercial space on the ground level, a rehab clinic, a methadone clinic, as well as a mental health clinic on the ground floor. 35 deeply affordable units on the 2nd floor, primarily for residents in recovery.
Hello, my name is Vanshika and I am a student at Bernice McNaughton. Administration provided feedback received from the community during their presentation. Attendees were provided with the opportunity to share their feedback, which included the following points. Pros. Project is a direct response to the current housing crisis. The ideal location with amenities such as public transit, retail, and education facilities in close proximity. Project places people's needs before profits. And cons are safety concerns for children and tenants, with individuals suffering from addiction, residing in building and visiting clinics. Traffic concerns were also expressed. Some felt that the project did not fit well with the existing neighborhood that mainly has single-family homes. Others felt that the project was trying to solve too many social issues at once.
Good day, everyone. I'm Kira Casey, and I'm in grade 11 at Harrison Trimble High School. And the mock council composed of, we elected a mock mayor, Zahid El-Adi, and members of the Youth Advisory Committee then debated this issue. The motion to approve the rezoning request passed with 7 voting in favor and 6 voting against. The afternoon concluded with testimonials from our graduates. 5 committee members will be graduating this year. New committee members are to be appointed at the next city council meeting. We also had a prize draw with Abby Watson from Moncton High School, who won first prize, 4 tickets to a show of her choice in the box at the Capitol Theater. Deputy Mayor Paulette Thériault, Councillors Charles Legier, Daniel Bourgeois, Dave Steves, and Marty Kingston answered questions submitted by students throughout the day.
As you can see from these photos, we really had a great day. Participants had fun while learning about municipal issues and providing valuable feedback to the City of Moncton. We want to thank members of City Council who took time out of their busy schedules to be with us at Youth Fest. Thank you.
Merci pour la présentation. Donc,
Thank you so much for your presentation. Councillor Steves, merci.
Coming up here to the microphone. It's not easy to speak here at council. And fellow councillors, I just want you to know how sharp these students are and the amount of time that they've taken here to learn about city issues over the entire year, a couple hours on each month. And I've just really enjoyed being part of that. I know that Councillor LeBlanc would echo my sentiments. It's always been fun to be able to bring a real life scenario of council to the students to be able to debate. And I would say out of the last 4 years that I've been part of this committee, this year's is the most robust. Another word could be the loudest crew to be able to debate passionately over what they would do if they were sitting in these seats. And Youth Fest, if you did have a chance to be part of it, just imagine this place completely packed out with extra chairs, with a lot of enthusiasm. And each year, it appears like students who come in unsure what the city does, unsure how interesting it would be, leave changed and certainly more impressed with what it is that the city does and the decisions that are made. So congratulations, students. Thank you very much. And I do need to say before I close, Nicole Poirier, that we all know and love, she has overseen this committee for 20 years. And it's nice for the public to know that as well. And she's really put her heart and soul into this. And so we need to thank her for her 20 years. So thank you very much, Nicole. And the official baton has been handed. This isn't even, this is the good news story of all this, is that Ellen Jeffries was once one of those high school students on this youth committee. I won't say how many years ago. And Ellen is now going to take that on and oversee that now. And so it's been a real successful handoff, and Ellen's fresh enthusiasm will be welcomed on the committee. And so I just think that's just been really well done. Mark of a good leader is how you transition, and your legacy, and Nicole has done that. So thank you, Nicole, and we look forward to having you. Ellen.
Merci beaucoup, Conseiller Steves. Thank you to you and Conseiller Leblanc for your work on the Youth Committee. Et Nicole, merci infiniment. Donc, Conseiller Bourgeois.
And thank you so much, Nicole. Councillor Bourgeois, thank you, Your Worship. Thanks for your presentation. Thanks for your attendance. And also, I would also like to thank my colleagues. Like Councillor Steve said, the room was packed.
By the passion, as mentioned by Councillor Steves, that you exhibited. And I have a question for you, if you dare try to answer it. But one of the surveys that you administered, one of the questions on the survey asked your colleagues and yourselves, did you ever want to participate in municipal governance? And if not, why not? And one of the top reasons was because it was too oppositional. Here's my question. You've seen so far how we've deliberated. It wasn't 10% as passionate as your discussions when you deliberated that motion. So explain to me why you would not, or you and your colleagues would definitely not want to participate in municipal governance because it was too oppositional. But when you were given the chance, it was much more oppositional than what it is in real life. Can somebody explain that to me? Or
So I think too that when we were doing the polling, that a lot of people went in and they weren't like they didn't know what to expect with Youth Fest, and they didn't know like what things here would look like, and just kind of like the how things work down here. That I feel like Youth Fest and having so many young students and having so many young people be able to come here, and even us being on this committee, I feel like opens more doors for people to want to pursue careers like this. And I feel like it just opens a lot more doors and you get to see a lot of perspectives. And maybe if those polls were done again after everybody had the chance to come and take a peek, that maybe those results would be a little bit different. But
That's a very good answer. So maybe the misperception was that we're oppositional, but really, federal and provincial, I get it. It's on TV and they're insulting each other, but I've never seen that here before. So, well, good. Thank you. Excellent answer. Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire.
Merci.
Et bonne chance.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and good luck to our students in your future endeavors. Councillor Richards? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Thériault.
I took from the presentation in public transit, those notes. Myself, Councillor Bourgeois, and Councillor Butler sit on the Kodiak Transpo Governance Committee, and I copied those, put them in my OneNote, and I'm bringing back to our next meetings. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous tous et bonne chance. Merci.
Thank you all. Thank you very much and good luck.
Our next presentation and final presentation this evening, last but not least, is a presentation from the Senior Advisory Committee, and Lillian Surratt and Payson Rao will be here to give this presentation.
That youth committee is a tough act to follow. Aren't they great? Wow. I'm impressed by those teenagers. Yep. Well, it's been introduced to you, Deputy Mayor Thériault and councilors. Thank you very much for having us tonight for a few remarks briefly to tell you the important work that the city's Seniors Advisory Committee is doing. As you just heard, I'm Payson Rao, Chair, and with me is Vice Chair Lillian Surratt.
Payson et moi-même, les autres membres du comité sont Betty Peacock.
Payson and myself and the members of the committee are Betty Peacock, Eileen White, Winston Pierce, Terry Allen Schofield, Susan Plews, Sandra Wallace, and Mike Richard. Our city council representation, Councillor Daniel Bourgeois and Councillor Sean Crossman. They're also part of the committee.
Endeavors to enrich and enhance the quality of life of seniors in the city, identify barriers, and form partnerships with the community, and act as a public forum for issues affecting seniors. The committee makes recommendations on services that fall within the responsibility of the city and that affect seniors, such as public safety, public works, recreation, and transportation. People interested in serving on the committee are encouraged to visit moncton.ca/seniors on the website to fill out an application, as many of us on the committee are retiring this year and will have vacancies in the fall.
Le comité consultatif des aînés possède les
The
responsabilités.
Seniors Advisory Committee has the following responsibilities. Provide recommendations and resources and act as a resource to council on seniors issues, act as a forum for discussing issues affecting seniors and providing advice, identifying barriers, as well as policies and in accessing services for seniors, form partnerships in the community for better access to municipal programs, form partnerships also to raise awareness about the various improvements that can be made to seniors' quality of life. And it's also responsible for following up on actions to be carried out resulting from committee meetings.
Some of the work the committee has accomplished to date. In 2017, the city of Moncton was recognized as an age-friendly community by WHO, the World Health Organization, and by the province of New Brunswick. The committee established a seniors-friendly business program to promote age-friendly practices and to recognize businesses making efforts to be more accessible to seniors. The Seniors Parks and Trails Initiative has seen benches installed on trails in Centennial, Irishtown, Mapleton, and Riverfront Parks, and along the Rabbit Brook and Northwest Trails. And as you heard from the Youth Committee, our committee members also volunteer for various events, including Intergenerational Day and the International Day of Older Persons.
En avril, nous avons tenu
In April, we held a strategic planning session to determine our priorities to guide our efforts in 2025 and over the next few years. During this meeting, we have identified 4 priorities.
To continue working with the Seniors Center Group to establish a dedicated seniors center. We appreciate that Council has supported this initiative to date, and we hope Council will continue to support this group financially when a suitable location is found. Additionally, we encourage City Council to prioritize public safety issues affecting seniors so that older adults in our community feel welcome and safe when attending events and when exploring parks and trails and while frequenting businesses and accessing services. The Seniors Advisory Committee encourages Kodiak Transpo to improve transportation services for seniors, especially for those who do not drive or have cars. We also encourage the City of Moncton to use a variety of inclusive marketing strategies to inform seniors when promoting City of Moncton events and services in order to reach as many residents as possible. Examples include printed materials, newspaper and radio ads, and newspapers and interviews, and the city website and social media channels.
parmi les mesures à prendre pour répondre à ce
Among the various actions needed to meet those priorities, we need to have better public fora about public safety, and we also need to review the marketing campaign for municipal activities geared towards seniors.
comité consultatif des aînés.
The Seniors Advisory Committee is determined to helping seniors feeling less isolated and feel integrated into the community. So we're asking City Council to take into account those priorities in its debates and in its budget process. We are delighted to see that the Council has expressed its support for the creation of a dedicated center for seniors. We would like Council to continue to support the senior center when time will be welcome to study various locations.
The committee has identified some other areas of interest. I guess I took that too fast. Anyhow, you have the hard copy before you, I believe. Making activities available at various facilities and parks across the city to create greater accessibility, updating and relaunching the seniors-friendly business program, and maintaining the City of Moncton status as an age-friendly city are some of these areas of interest we feel important for the seniors.
Nous vous remercions de nous avoir.
We thank you for your attention today and for recognizing the importance of the Seniors Advisory Committee, both for seniors and youth.
City staff and members that have been assigned to us over the years. Presently, Ellen Jeffries, but previously Marcia King and Nicole Poirier. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and City Councilors, for your time this evening, for your interest and support. And this concludes our presentation, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any. Oh, Conseiller Richard, allez-y.
Oh, no, we have Councilor Richard. Thank you, Mayor Terrio.
We got to show them, right? One thing, again, I mentioned in the youth group about Kodiak Transpo, and you mentioned it again, how to improve it for seniors. Were there any specifics that you'd be able to share with us that we could bring back to Kodiak Transpo?
Well, there are a variety of things we've talked about with the manager of the Kodiak Transpo in our meetings. We've had, I think, 2 in the past year or 2. The main thing, I think, would be making the transportation available to seniors throughout the week, 7 days a week. Right now, it's Wednesdays when seniors can travel free, and we'd like to see some arrangements so that seniors could get on at any time during the week, at any time during the day, and access the services they need. So we're in conversation. I think the manager is considering that, and we'll be looking at that with us later on. So hopefully that'll come to fruition soon.
I'm glad you brought it up, and myself, Councillor Bourgeois, and Councillor Butler sit on that governance committee. So I've noted it again, and we'll bring that forward. Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Richard, Conseiller Bourgeois.
Thank you, Councillor Richard. Councillor Bourgeois. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much.
For your volunteer time, because you sit on this committee to give us advice and feedback, and you've done your prioritization, and we are, I would say, on the same page. So it is very useful for us to get your advice and your opinion on stuff. We may not always agree, but at least Lauren Mitten created this committee 20 some odd years ago, and it has provided valuable information and feedback and reaction. So keep up the good work. I appreciate sitting alongside you and sucking up your wisdom. Merci. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Pleasure of attending one of your meetings. Really impressed with everyone around the table, impressed with the work that you're doing. As elders, you deserve the best. And really, as elders, you shouldn't have to wait 2 hours before you come to the microphone. Donc, merci à vous deux. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much to the both of you.
If anybody would like councillor statements?
I do have something, Madame la
Conseiller Butler.
Conseiller Butler, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just would like to mention and bring thoughts to the families of the 3 fallen heroes that happened 11 years ago. I would like to ask the citizens of Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe to remember all our fallen heroes on June 4th. 3 friends of mine were murdered in the line of duty. A simple gesture of leaving on your back light would let all the members and their families know that we will never forget them. Thank you from a retired member, and may God bless all the families. Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Butler. Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Donc, premièrement, j'aimerais d'offrir nos...
First of all, I would like to offer our deepest sympathies to Claude Roussel's family. He left us on May 28th. And as you will know, Mr. Roussel was a visual artist. He was very well known and had received several distinctions, including the Order of Moncton, the Order of New Brunswick, and the Order of Canada. His contributions to culture, and especially to contemporary visual arts, I would say throughout Canada. So he really was a pioneer in his discipline. So we would like to offer our deepest sympathies to his friends and family. I would also like to underscore the success that several Moncton residents have had recently.
Recognized in Atlantic Business Magazine's Top 50 CEO Awards. Donc, Félicitations à Sébastien Dupuis, président-directeur général d'Assomption.
Sébastien Dupuis, CEO of Assomption Vie, as well as John Richard Gonzalez,
Alan Norman and Jerica Kennedy, co-CEOs of Tire Shack Brewing Company, Mike Randall, founder, president, and CEO of Portfolio, Sarah Robinson, president and CEO and of Host Management, and Matt Sims, founding partner and CEO of Simplicity Design. Donc, bravo à tous. I also would like
congratulations to all of you.
Senior Chef competition at the Culinary Federation's annual conference, which was held in Moncton. And I believe the feedback on that was they were very happy with us as a host city to this event. So, merci à tous. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses?
Thank you very much. Anything else? Yes, I think there are nomination or appointments. No, not tonight. No appointments tonight. I think we can move to adjournment. Councillor Richard?
Okay.